We're joined by Lindiwe Gadd, who's the Deputy Chair of the National Dialogue Preparatory Committee. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, the DA is determined to actively mobilize against the National Dialogue to stop it from going ahead. What's your immediate reaction after listening to Party Leader John Steenhuisen today?
Thank you, and good evening to your viewers. It is unfortunate that the National Dialogue should find itself inserted in disagreements within the Government of National Unity. The National Dialogue is an initiative of 50 civil society organizations. It is not an initiative of any political party. It is not an initiative of government. It is initiated and driven by civil society organizations. And therefore, it is indeed unfortunate that we find ourselves in this position. The initiative of the National Dialogue is to give South Africans, all South Africans, a voice in mapping a future for South Africa. And that should really be above party political disagreements.
The other problem is the 740 million rand budget, which has been allocated for the National Dialogue. From the start, that allocation on its own has been met with immediate opposition because of that hefty price tag. What is the budget allocation meant to cover, with all these concerned voices and the DA saying that they're going to be mobilizing with civil society to ensure that the dialogue doesn't take place?
It is unfortunate that this number of 700 or 740 million is given as the budget of the National Dialogue. It is not the budget of the National Dialogue. And we have not asked government to fund 740 million. What we have done is we have gone to various stakeholders to support the National Dialogue, either financially or in kind. We have spoken to religious bodies, we have spoken to traditional leaders' organizations, and we have also approached government to support this initiative. But we have not gone to government to ask them for 700 million or 740 million. In fact, the budget of the National Dialogue has not been finalized. This number of 700 million is not a correct figure. And we do not have a final budget, but we do not anticipate that it will be anywhere near that number.
Yeah. So what are you hoping to get? I mean, you speak about financial support and support in kind, but the 740 million rand is what has been put on the table, really. Even if it's not finalized, it has been suggested. And critics and South Africans are perhaps in awe, really just looking at what this money is meant to cover. Perhaps really, just as a bird's overview, if we're going to talk about the budget, you say it hasn't been finalized, I hear that, but what is the money meant to cover in terms of allocation and the work that needs to be done for this initiative?
Thank you for that. The National Dialogue is a call for all South Africans to have an opportunity, as I've said, to discuss the future of the country. And we are very clear that this needs to be an initiative where every South African is given an opportunity to do so, no matter where they are. We have therefore asked stakeholders to be able to avail their facilities. So we would like to ensure that the dialogues are held in churches. We would like to ensure that the dialogues can be held in school halls, in high school halls, primary school halls, university halls, such that every South African is able to access the National Dialogue venues and participate in the discussions therein.
So the calls for a national dialogue have been growing for a number of years. In fact, for a long time, people called for an economic codesa to allow different role players in the economy to sit down and discuss ways to boost the country's economy and, of course, better it. But the looming National Dialogue has had many questioning if whether or not it really is a promising concept or perhaps an illusion for progress for South Africa. the DA's leader, John Steenhuisen, has said that it will be nothing more than a waste of time and money to distract South Africans from the ANC's failures. What is your response to that?
As I have said, it is an initiative of civil society and no political party. And that is a principle that we continue to stand by and will continue to defend. I think it would be unfortunate if the millions of South Africans who have indicated that they wish to participate in this process are prevented from doing so. We would really want to see millions and millions of South Africans having a say in this process, which is why we respectfully ask all political parties of whatever persuasion to be able to give South Africans an opportunity to participate in the democracy that we have. We saw at the last national election that only 40% of registered voters and 30% of registered youth actually participated by voting in that election. There are many challenges that this country faces. What we want to have is not a talk shop where we are just engaging around the problems, but this is a solution-finding process.
And very lastly, before we let you go, what impact do you think the DA's absence will have in these discussions?
We wish to engage with the Democratic Alliance along with all other political formations, whether those are political formations in the Government of National Unity, in Parliament, and indeed with political formations outside of Parliament. So we will be engaging with all political organizations, and we also would like to encourage all of our fellow citizens to participate in this opportunity so that we can actually plot a positive future for our country.
So you'll be holding talks with the DA?
We'll be holding talks with all political formations as well as other stakeholders. It may be business, it may be unions, it may be youth organizations, it may be organizations of the homeless, it may be farm workers and farm organizations. All sectors of society are invited to participate in the national dialogue, and we would encourage them to do so.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. We're going to have to wrap it up there.